Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Mike.
And today, we are here for another African American Heritage Month.
We're not doing a full Heritage Month where each week we will have a saint or
blessed.
But
because it is African American Heritage Month, and because we have such an excellent individual to talk about this week, we figure why not put them together because it just fits.
Yes.
Nice.
As there are a number of servants of God or venerable that are of African American origin that we've talked about at least half of them, but there's a few we didn't get to. So today we are going to do Servant of God, Julia Greeley, who was also known as Denver's Angel of Charity.
Aww. Now,
she was born sometime between 1833 and 1848 in Hannibal, Missouri.
Wait.
Yeah,
that is a very long amount of change.
It's a big window, and well, not modern times. I mean, this was America. I mean, it was the West technically because it's Missouri.
Okay, so she's born back then in Missouri, so it's both the frontier,
yep,
and slave territory,
yep.
So I can totally understand not knowing her birthday, birth month. I'll even give you a year. But if I'm doing my sums correctly, that's a 15-year window.
Yeah, you'd think that they could at least narrow it down to like so-and-so was the mayor.
Anyway, she died June 7th, 1918 in Denver, Colorado.
We know that.
Yes. And it was generally thought that she was in her 70s, so it was probably one of the earlier half of the dates for when she was born, but,
Actually, if she was in her 70s, it would be one of the later half of the dates.
Oh, sorry, one of the later half, yes.
I choose to believe it was in the nice meaty part of the curve.
Maybe. And conveniently for her...
I love convenience.
The day that she died, that year was the Feast of the Sacred Heart.
I bet that's going to tie into her story.
Yes, very much. She is, as she's only a servant of God, it's kind of unofficially, but a patron of African Americans, Denver, and enslaved peoples.
Nice.
She was born enslaved, as it was Missouri, and it was pre-Civil War time. As a small child, she lost her right eye due to it being hit with a whip. Now, all the stories state that she was approximately 5 years old when her mother was getting beaten and she got too close and got hit with it. So I don't know exactly how. They're like, I know exactly how old I was at this point in time, but like no idea on the dates, but... It's one of those memories that, seared in her mind. So it's like,
remember it.
Now what else was happening at the time? I don't know. I got hit in the eye.
I don't know. I was half blinded. Sure.
She ended up, unlike most people, was freed by Missouri's Emancipation Act of 1865 because officially they were a union state.
Yeah.
So the Emancipation Proclamation did not affect the state.
Correct. It was for only those in the states that were in active rebellion. So Missouri, Kentucky, occupied Maryland, and Delaware, their slaves were not freed until the Constitutional Amendment, the 15th, or state legislation.
Added it.
Yep. No, the Emancipation Proclamation exclusively and explicitly only applied to those in rebellious territories.
She then worked as a servant. I heard she was a cook, she was a maid, she was a housekeeper, and a nanny. She worked in Missouri, Wyoming, New Mexico, and Colorado, including one time she was a housekeeper and a nanny for a woman who was a widow who then remarried, and her new husband ended up becoming the first territorial governor of Colorado.
Swank.
So that's why she is so connected with Denver. She stayed with the family.
Sure. And they were in Denver because they were a big deal. Big cheese. Enjoyed that thin air.
Now
it's a mile high.
Hey, once you get used to,
Absolutely. You get acclimated.
Now, she was not raised Catholic.
Sure.
She ended up getting baptized and joining the church on June 26, 1880.
Praise God.
She was some amount of age in adulthood.
She was
somewhere from her mid-30s to her late 40s.
She was was it 1880? So yeah, so she was less than 30. She was more than 30, but not quite 45.
And the church that she was baptized in was Sacred Heart Church in Denver. And she was especially devoted to the most Sacred Heart of Jesus, along with Mary and the Eucharist. She received communion daily after being baptized and was known to go about town. She had a little red wagon, which, remember, this is a very hilly town, so she's, distributing literature for the Sacred Heart of Jesus for anyone. She especially she made it a point every month to go to every single fire station in the city because it was a very dangerous job.
Yep.
And while there was a large amount of Catholics, largely like Irish Catholics, that were doing the job, there were many other people who weren't Catholic, and she gave everyone the paperwork.
Yeah. Well, the Sacred Heart of Jesus bleeds for all of us.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
beautiful.
Spreading that devotion.
Yep. In 1901, she joined the Third Order of Franciscans.
Ooh.
And even without doing the stuff of being part of a Franciscan order, she was known for her charity. She also,
as mentioned at the top, Denver's Angel of Charity.
Yep. She also filled her wagon with anything the people would need: food, clothing, coal. She helped anyone and everyone. And because it was a large amount of the people that she helped were actually white people, she went and did a lot of her runs at night, even though it was kind of dangerous and she was a woman all alone, because she found out that one family got help from her and were embarrassed that, they were white and an African American was helping her. And she's like, I just want to help them. If they're going to be embarrassed, then I will sneak it onto their porch where they don't know who gave it to them.
Yeah, it's all part of her heart of charity.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she also she had jobs that paid okay for the time, but not a lot. So she would also go and beg herself so that she could get stuff for other people.
Well, and clearly she's spending a significant portion of her income on others anyway.
Yep. Because she was did various work as like housekeeper and stuff. So she worked for the wealthier people. She would go and ask the wealthy families that she knew to, when their kids had party dresses and stuff, to not wear them out completely and then use them for rags. When they get a little bit worn down, give them to her so that the people on the poor side of the town could have nice clothes.
Yeah. Yep. That could be could become somebody's Sunday best.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And in fact, according to some people,
charity can be deeply practical. She
was known as a one-person St. Vincent de Paul Society.
Yep.
Nice.
Absolutely. Again, she's a servant of God, which means she's on the road to sainthood, but it sounds very much like she was a living saint.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't have details, but I have heard that there have been at least one miracle that is being investigated for her, but I didn't get the details.
Sure.
So I don't know if it's super ironic and it's someone who's like blind in one eye. And like she would give away anything and everything. Like one time she even gave away her own burial plot to a guy who would have been buried in a popular's grave.
Nice.
When she died, she was the first and only layperson to be laid in state at her parish. And they didn't actually even announce that she was laying in state. They did it, and a large number of people from the city of all walks of life came to see her.
Yep.
Without, they're like, she died. We know she goes to this parish because she said Sacred Heart 50 million times.
Where else would she be?
So, the numbers of people that showed up range from hundreds to around 1,000, which, if it was 1,000 at that time, that would be 0.5% of the total population of the city of Denver.
Yeah, that's huge.
Her cause for sainthood was started in January of 2014. In 2017, her body was moved to the Cathedral Basilica of the Immaculate Conception in Denver. And that also made her the first person to be interred in there.
Nice. So they're in the investigative phase of the cause. They're gathering all the documentation to send it on to Rome.
Yep.
Yes. It's something where, like many of the reports of people that their cause got started in the early 2000s, it kind of stopped for 2 years, and they're
for some strange reason.
I don't know.
Like everything stopped for like this weird 2-year period.
But I can't figure out why.
No. I try to remember back to that 2-year period, and honestly, I don't remember anything.
We'll leave it to future archaeologists to figure it out.
I'm gonna assume I went on a blackout bender, and I really hope that
we were all on a 2-year bender. Well, let us pray that heaven's will be done.
Yes. And servant of God, Julia Greeley, pray for us. So, go down below. I've said it before, and I'll probably say it again. We love doing episodes on saints. The list of saints that we could do is huge. And picking ones out can sometimes be a little bit of a chore. This one was not. This one just kind of sort of lined right up with where we needed to put it.
It's really simple. Americans. We can be like, we know the cities they're talking about.
We can pronounce that.
This one's almost what we would call a modern era saint.
Denver. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this word.
But I bet they have an airport that's secretly evil or something.
But go down below to the comment section and leave us the name of a saint you think we need to do, or a saint that you think we need to do more on.
Mm-hmm.
While you're heading down that way, make sure you stop off at the like button and give us a like.
Maybe you thought we did an adequate job, but you're like, I really care about this servant of God and want people to know about her.
Exactly.
You're liking her, not us.
You like her, like the saint, or like the potential saint, not necessarily the hopeful saints one day. While you're also go and hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it so you get notified when new episodes come out. And remember, until next time, to live your faith,
love your faith,
and
share that love.
If they hit the bell, then they don't have to just naturally know, like all the people who went and visited her while she was lying in state, that we have a new episode.
Exactly.
They'll be like, I sense that there's a new episode.
Well, they still had to be told that she died. They just knew where to go after that.
I imagine that news spread quickly.
Indeed. There's sometimes there's stories where somebody dies and people go running through the street saying the saint is dead, the saint is dead.